Have you touched on Boeing news yet today? No, I have not. Boeing whistleblower found dead in the U.S. John Barnett had worked for Boeing for 32 years until his retirement in 2017. In the days before his death, he had been giving evidence in a whistleblower lawsuit against the company. Nothing to see here, folks. Very normal. Who amongst us has not actually whistleblown and then ended up killing yourself while you were working on a court case against the company that you were whistleblowing on? Boeing said it was saddened to hear of Mr. Barnett's passing. The Charleston County coroner confirmed his death to the BBC on Monday. It is said that the 62-year-old had died from a self-inflicted wound on March 9th, and police were investigating. Mr. Barnett had worked on the U.S. plane giant for 32 years until his retirement in 2017 on health grounds. From 2010, he worked as a quality manager at the North Charleston plant, making the 787 Dreamliner a state-of-the-art airliner used mainly on long-haul routes. In 2019, Mr. Barnett told the BBC that under-pressure workers had been deliberately fitting substandard parts to the aircraft on the production line. He also said he had uncovered serious problems with oxygen systems, which could mean 1 in 4 breathing masks would not work in an emergency. He said soon after starting to work in South Carolina, he had become concerned that the push to get new aircraft built meant the assembly process was rushed and safety was compromised, something the company had denied. He later told the BBC that the workers had failed to follow procedures intended to track components throughout the factory, allowing the defective components to go missing. He said, in some cases, substandard parts had even been removed from scrap bins and fitted to planes that were being built to prevent delays on the production line. He claimed that the tests on emergency oxygen systems due to be fitted on the 787 showed a failure rate of 25%, meaning that 1 in 4 could fail to deploy in a real-life emergency. Mr. Barnett said he had alerted managers to his concerns, but no action had been taken. Boeing denied his assertions. However, a 2017 review by the U.S. regulator, FAA, did uphold some of Mr. Barnett's concerns. Dude, whistleblowers kill themselves all the time, especially when there's an active DOJ investigation into the company. I just want to mention something that makes this story a little bit more interesting. The Department of Justice launched a criminal investigation into Boeing literally like 2 days prior. The Department of Justice has officially launched a criminal investigation into Boeing. It's established that the location of at least 53 non-conforming parts in the factory was unknown and that they were considered lost. Boeing was ordered to take remedial action. On the oxygen cylinders issue, the company said that in 2017 it had identified some oxygen bottles received from the supplier were not deploying properly, but it denied any of them were actually fitted on the aircraft. After retiring, he embarked on a long-running legal action against the company. He accused of it of denigrating his character and hampering his career because of the issues he pointed out. Charges rejected by Boeing. At the time of his death, Mr. Barnett had been in Charleston for legal interviews linked to that case. Last week, he gave a formal deposition in which he was questioned by Boeing's lawyers before being cross-examined by his own counsel. He had been due to undergo further questioning on Saturday. When he did not appear, inquiries were made at his hotel. He was subsequently found dead in his truck in the hotel car park. Speaking to the BBC, his lawyer described his death as tragic. In a statement, Boeing said, "We are saddened by Mr. Barnett's passing." Did I do that? Is what the Boeing officials say. And our thoughts are with his family and friends. His death comes at a time when production standards at both Boeing and its key supplier, Spirit Aerosystems, are under intense scrutiny. Hold on. What's the name of this song? Does anyone know what that song is? I want to play it in the background as I read the rest of this. His death comes at a time when production standards at Boeing and its key supplier, Spirit Aerosystems, are under intense scrutiny. This follows an incident in early January when an unused emergency exit door blew off a brand new Boeing 737 MAX shortly after takeoff from Portland International Airport. A preliminary report from the U.S. National Transportation Safety Board suggested that 4 key bolts designed to hold the door securely in place were not fitted. Last week, the FAA said a 6-week audit of the company had found multiple instances where the company allegedly failed to comply with manufacturing quality control requirements. That's right, a former Boeing employee is now found dead a couple days after giving another deposition after working at Boeing for 32 years until his retirement in 2017. This comes right around the same time where the Department of Justice has officially launched an investigation, a criminal inquiry into Boeing. 2 days ago, here it is. U.S. is set to open criminal inquiry into Boeing. The investigation is tied to an incident on Alaska Airlines flight in early January. Boeing also told the Senate panel that it cannot find a record of the work done on the Alaska plane. But whistleblowers die all the time. There's nothing to see here, especially considering that he's been doing this since 2017. Who amongst us doesn't openly whistleblow against the company that they worked at for 32 years for, 7 years in a row, only to be overcome with feelings and kill themselves. Boeing is a small mom and pop operation. They never pulled it off. They never could have pulled it off. Yeah. Seems normal. Natural causes, it seems. Suicide is pretty likely if the company was pressuring him further. It doesn't take away the blame, but the idea of Boeing assassinating people is ridiculous. I mean, I don't know. Pretty wild accusation, and I would never make that. Simply stating that it's a wild time. He must have just gotten a COVID vax or something. Boeing will engineer weapons that ignite children, but one assassination against a whistleblower is too much. I mean, look. All I'm stating is that the timing of it comes right as the U.S. is set to open a criminal inquiry into Boeing. Like, he literally, he killed himself the same day that the United States announced that they are going to launch a criminal inquiry into Boeing. I don't know, man. Like, it's not Jeffrey Epstein. Like, that one I'm convinced is not a suicide, right? If you think that it is. He tried being a streamer for a day. Stop, dude. That's ruthless. People don't know it. Yeah, 99% of gamblers quit right before they hit big, and 99% of whistleblowers quit by killing themselves right before the DOJ opens an investigation into like their lifelong project of getting people to be aware of the thing that they were whistleblowing on right as they were about to testify. Did you see the family friend of the Boeing whistleblower speak on local news? I did not.
I knew John because his mom and my mom are best friends. And so over the years, get-togethers, birthdays, celebrations, and, whatnot, we've all got together and talked, and that's how we really know each other.
And when Jennifer needed help one day, Barnett came by to see her.
I'm confused why they assassinated the guy. Hasn't it now caused a Streisand effect? Didn't know about the leak before he died. The Boeing whistleblower used to work at Boeing for 32 years before leaving and launching a 7-year-long campaign of whistleblowing. Before he did this, he was a quality control guy there for 30 years. I do not believe he may or may not have been allegedly, hypothetically assassinated because he was about to blow the whistle further on the new products that the DOJ is currently launching an investigation into. The DOJ investigation is looking into the newer fleets, the ones that have like the doors busting out of them and stuff. Those fleets are long after his time had ended at Boeing. I do not believe that he has additional information on the 737 MAX. This is more so a message for others that may perhaps work in quality assurance and quality control that may get different ideas about speaking out of turn. A lot of people think like, oh, they directly killed him because he had the secrets. It's like, no, I don't think he had like extra secrets. I think he was very open about what he worked on, company culture, and how that led to the demise of Boeing that you are watching unfold right now. And I think that obviously he had a deposition as well. But this is more about, in my opinion, if he was actually assassinated and he didn't kill himself, that is the case. It was not about new information that he was going to reveal about the 737 MAXs currently being investigated by the Department of Justice, but instead it was more so to be like, don't talk to everyone that currently works at Boeing. For the record, even if he did actually legitimately kill himself, that responsibility is directly in the hands of Boeing for making his life a living hell. There is no way out of this conversation. Now, before you go, oh, well, Barbara Streisand, like this reveals the ongoing other leaks that Boeing was dealing with, that's a cost-benefit analysis that I'm sure Boeing made if responsible for his demise, which I think they probably were. Since he's already a whistleblower, it's possible others thought of going to him to expose new stuff. Maybe. So that's something to think about.
I think somebody got in there and made, money can buy anything nowadays, it seems like. I think,
You seem eager to believe in assassination, in my honest opinion. Corporate assassins make for great fiction, but in reality, only state actors can pull off assassinations. Boeing is a defense contractor. The you mean state actors can only pull off assassinations? Boeing basically is a state actor. Every American mega corporation, especially on the defense side, is basically just outsourced state actors. And yes, you are wrong. Coca-Cola has killed union leaders in Colombia. Shell literally has utilized warlords, like competing warlords in Nigeria. And also, there's a long history, it's an American tradition at this point, to utilize the arm of the state to enforce other countries through violent means into doing whatever the we want them to do. In the United States of America, we are not a real state that cares about the citizens. We are like around 50 companies in one trench coat. The state operates at the behest of corporations, not in the opposite direction like you see in a place like China, for example. State actors have engaged in violent actions, specifically at the behest of American corporations. That's pretty funny to be like, well, only state actors can kill people. Come on now.
Somebody didn't like what he had to say and wanted to shut him up and didn't want it to come back on anyone, so that's why they made it look like a suicide.
What do you guys think the invasion of Iraq was for? What do you think that was about? Bro, they had literally mapped out the previously nationalized for many years Iraqi oil fields before the Operation Iraqi Democracy and Freedom, okay? Yeah, it was for friendship. It was for managed democracy.